What's cooking? What's poppin'? It's your boy Pat Chennington, and today we will be talking about my personal favorite Blank Banshee album of all time, Mega. Mega is the third installation from the beloved Vaportrap legend Blank Banshee, and while most people tend to discuss his first album, Blank Banshee 0, or his follow-up with extremely deserving praise, Blank Banshee 1, I want to give my thoughts on Mega and show you why I believe this is his best work yet. Furthermore, we will be diving into the physical release of this album. We're going to be taking a look at the beautiful hot pink vinyl pressing, which was pressed by Hologram Bay, so stick around for the whole video because we're going to be heavily exploring a world riddled with neon ruins that Blank Banshee renders up for us. Released on October 10th, 2016, Blank Banshee's Mega comes at us with 15 tracks, and in usual Blank Banshee fashion, all of these tracks are pretty short, usually around the 2-minute range. There is nothing above 3 minutes long, but each track is filled to the gills with fluorescent synth work, claustrophobic vocal chops that are gasping for air, which I'll talk about a little later, and an expertise on electronic drum production to really cater the dense yet crystal clear palette of sounds Blank is cooking up for us on here. And of course, your legendary selection of futuristic sound bites spicing up the mix that Blank Banshee will always throw at us. You'll never really find traditional song structure when listening to Mega. Nothing directly follows a intro, verse, chorus, bridge, etc. sort of flow. Most of the time on here, Blank will begin with a bass line of sounds to fill up a measure, and constantly pancake each measure after it with a variation of the sounds before. The third track, Frozen Flame, is a really clear example of this, and one of my favorite tracks on the entire album. Those gasping for air vocal chops, which I was referring to before, popping in and out, at times always in a random, erratic pattern for each measure following, drums seemingly resetting at various times in the album. For example, where it would sound like some crazy headbanging beat is going to drop in the upcoming or following measure, the kick and snare can suddenly fall off, only leaving the tripping hi-hats as the only thing carrying the beat. This weird way of how Blank Banshee transitions the song throughout its runtime always keeps us struggling to have a grip on what's going to happen next, and I love that surprising and mysterious manner to everything on here. This human, natural instinct to an album that features a sound toolbox reminiscent of futuristic technology, which we always think we don't have yet, is what makes this album ultimately so interesting and exciting to me, and it was the first to really present a personable, sensational aura in the lineup of Blank Banshee's releases. Nothing, in my opinion, has even come close to how organic Mega is for Blank Banshee. While Blank Banshee 0 and Blank Banshee 1 sound stuck in a coffin of computer sounds, the undeniable human element in the sounds of Mega provide a refreshing, hydrating, and fruitful habitat, an oasis anticipated by the heavy usage of vocal chops we haven't seen the boy focus his music so heavily on up until this point. Those rattling shakers, ancient sounding pan flutes in the 7th track of the album, Hollow Graffiti, always make me feel like an archaeologist in the middle of an Egyptian desert who just so happened to stumble upon this gigantic pink-purple gradient pyramid that I have no clue how anyone hasn't seen before. Also, who doesn't love them Earthbound samples? Mega really feels ancient, undiscovered, cryptic, and mummified, all while maintaining a fast-paced energy expected in any Blank Banshee release. Nothing ever really feels artificial in this futuristic world. It's just a journey you can feel at the tips of your fingers, all depending on how far you want to plunge into the organic textures of this intergalactic expedition. Before we head on over to discussing the vinyl pressing, which I'm holding right here, please make sure you give this video a like. It will help out the channel immensely, and also make sure you are subscribed and click that little bell so you never miss a dang thing when I drop new videos. For a very long time, up until they were released, fans have been craving for Blank Banshee albums to be pressed on vinyl. Luckily for us, that day would certainly come. Hologram Bay would eventually drop all 3 Blank Banshee albums on vinyl, as well as cassette in 2017. This was going to be a drop I knew, and everyone else knew, would sell out immediately, whether it was for the cassette or the vinyl. And you guys know me, I mostly collect vinyl, so I made sure that day I canceled any possible plans I had. I'm sorry, Miss Chennington. I think we were going to do something that day, but I was like, babe, listen to me. You gotta wait a little bit. I got some shit I gotta do. I made sure I canceled anything that day so I can sit in front of my laptop and mash F5 until that link to buy now popped up and I could grab all 3 albums. I did an unboxing video for all 3 of those albums as well quite a while ago. I will link it up at the top of your screen now if you want to check that out. But as for this video, we will only be taking a look at the Mega pressing specifically. I already love the album cover for Blank Banshee Mega. Super simple. A background with a colorful image plastered on the front with that stereotypical classic Blank Banshee header on the top of the album, and having this on vinyl is really nice and looks large and dynamic. It pops out against a lot of the other vinyl I have in my collection that has artwork way more detailed, so the treatment for this album's artwork transitioned over to vinyl wonderfully. Especially for me as a collector, I love displaying this thing. The back of the vinyl artwork is pretty simple as well, as usual. The album name followed by a track list looking like some sort of word search puzzle or something. The alignment of the text to fit in this sort of rigid box, stretching letters from short track list titles to fit the ones of longer ones, is another cool and unique practice we've seen time and time again when Blank releases his physicals. Yeah, just another cool little unique thing that makes this stick out from your traditional track list on the back of a record pressing. In regards to the actual vinyl itself, we have a gorgeous, extremely vivid hot pink record with a contrasting multicolored inner sticker, all correlating extremely well with the original album artwork where the comet on the center pops out against the simple gradient background. Sound-wise, it all sounds absolutely immaculate, and I expected absolutely nothing less from Blank Banshee. We know Blank to have an extremely dense and populated palette of sounds on all of his works, a mix down that really gives the lows, the highs, and every sound their proper placement along the frequency spectrum, which is so important to what makes his songs sound so jam-packed. On the vinyl pressing here, let me tell you, the sounds are crystal clear when coming out of my stereo. It sounds like there are 1,000 sounds going on at once, making this head trip of an experience so worthwhile and clean every time I throw the record on. I legit feel like I'm discovering new sounds every single time, making Blank Banshee's Mega have an incredible replay value. I always love to discuss the 3 original Blank Banshee albums with friends or people on the internet. Like I said, a lot of people will usually put Blank Banshee 1 or Blank Banshee 0 as their favorite, and I feel Mega kind of gets lost or lesser discussed. Personally, for me, being a Mega fan, that human element is so dynamic and headstrong in this work that I find myself coming back to this album more than any other piece he has created thus far. Please let me know in the comments below which is your favorite Blank Banshee album. I would love to hear some insight on each of them, and until next time, thank you so much for watching. I love you to death. Much love, your boy, Pad Chennington.